Last question of the day. Been watching Unbox Therapy since y'all reviewed the Galaxy S3. I don't believe you, Frankie. People say stuff. I'm just kidding. I do believe you. That's incredible. That's 2012 he's talking about, Will. Where were you in 2012?
Sleeping?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. My question to you all is this. To you all, you have to answer this as well. The U.S. or Canadian government hires the entire Unbox Therapy team to be the makers of technology law for the entire country. What is your first law that y'all want to institute? Examples: smart roads, push for smart cars, countrywide security protocol, etc. Thanks. His subject line: an insane question, all caps. It is insane because no one's that ain't gonna happen. A lot of those projects are expensive and difficult to implement and would be hard to do as a government, really. If you were like, okay, tomorrow we have smart roads. And I don't know to what extent he means, or smart cars. Like, gridlock drives me crazy. So I assume what he's getting at there is that they can all communicate and we can have a nice flow of traffic, something like this. I mean, man, you need so much money or so many buy-ins from different private companies. And then you have the pre-existing infrastructure that exists and all the cars that are already out there. It seems so difficult to do. Maybe I'm thinking about this question too practically.
What if it was just like a snap of a...
I might be thinking about this question too practically. But he did say if you're the maker of technology law, like tomorrow, he's saying I'm getting hired right away. So I think I have to kind of think about this question in a practical sense because he's asking me to govern right now. He's not saying, hey, 20 years, 50 years from now. He is saying now. So in that case, I would probably tackle something a little bit more practical for that reason. And it's kind of similar to something we talked about on a previous episode, is access to fast internet connections. I think that's doable. It is happening more frequently through the private sector. But one thing that happens through internet access to fast connections specifically, is that you see all kinds of byproducts that through accessibility, people do interesting things with it. I know me without a connection, what is this? It ain't much. I remember in the early days, Will, it was called the Rogers Wave. And what it was this. Did you have that?
I don't think so.
It was like the first broadband that people got beyond dial-up. Rogers Wave. See if you can find the modem from back in the day. No, maybe not. You just got Mr. Rogers waving at us. I think it was called Wave. Type modem, yeah.
Is this it?
No. This is much more recent. Did they come back to the name Wave? It looks sort of like the one on the far left there on the last page that you were on. There was some really old-looking one right there on the left, off topic. It kind of was like that. Does anyone remember Rogers Wave? That was it, dude. And if you had this in your house, like you had friends instantly because they were like, whoa, man, your web pages are loading instantaneously. Now, for me, in the modern era, it has a little bit more to do with upload because of the sharing of content and a lot of the projects you might undertake. You might be hampered by your ability to upload. Man, there's kids that are professional gamers now because they've had connections. I could see it being a massive disadvantage to your brain and development to have certain people have that connection advantage and you not. So I don't know what the government specifically could do to help with that. We did that story recently about how in the UK, they were trying to make it a right to have a 10 megabit connection at a minimum, and they were going into rural areas that were underserviced and incentivizing companies to service those areas subsidized by the government. So you could probably, it would be some interaction between the private sector and government, but maybe in your private home, possibly in education, in schools, bring in the fat connections, Will, and let the people do what they must. See what they do. They might do some unsavory things as well, Will, but hopefully the positive side overwhelms that and people, optimistic individuals, use that connection for positive, for the creation of something, for making things. Who knows what people are going to do. You bump into kids, it's like, yeah, I'm just developing this app right now. I'm just doing this thing, whatever. You don't really think about it. I think like so much of my personal education, for example, came via access to the web and just like I wanted to learn a piece of software, just boom, here it is, easily available, streaming in real time. You take that for granted. A lot of people didn't necessarily have that. There's a surprising number of people that still don't have a connection like that. Maybe they don't have that much cash and their parents just use their phone and they're just like got a crappy connection, and that's not cool. So I don't know. I would try to aim at that. That seems more practical and immediate. I apologize for the lack of imagination, but I'm trying to be, who knows? I might be elected tomorrow. It's possible. I need a plan. I need a platform. It might happen, Will. You never know.